Assalamualaikum, dear students of class 12th. A very good morning, all of you. Today, we will start a new lesson of the text Flamingo. This is lesson number second Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood, written by Anis Chang. Let me give you a brief introduction about the writer. Anis Jung was born in 1964 in Rourkela and spent her childhood and adolescence in Hyderabad. She received her education in Hyderabad and in the United States of America. Her parents were both writers. Anais Chung began her career as a writer in India. She has been an editor and columnist for major newspapers in India and abroad, and has authored several books. The following is an excerpt from her book titled Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood. So, this was brief introduction about the writer, that is Anish Chang. Now let's start. Sometimes, before we start, let me give you introduction about the story. The story Lost Spring describes the pitiable or very miserable condition of poor children. The story Lost Spring describes the miserable condition of poor children who have been forced to miss the joy of childhood due to the socio-economic condition that prevails in this man-made world. These children are denied the opportunity of schooling and forced into labor early in life. This was a, this was an introduction about the lesson, that is Lost Spring, written by Anis Jang. Now let us start. Sometimes I find a rupee in a garbage. Sometimes I find a rupee in garbage. Now let me read the text. Why do you do this? I asked Sahib, whom I encounter every morning, scrounging scrounging for gold, scrounging for gold in the garbage dump of my neighborhood. Sahib left his home long ago. Sahib left his home long ago, sat amidst the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that's why they left looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. Dear students, यहाँ पे कुछ वर्ड्स हैं इस पैरा में. Scrounging means searching for. Scrounging means searching for, or we can say to obtain, to get. Amidst means in the middle of. Why do you this? I asked Sahab, whom I encounter every morning. Here writer says that every morning he sees a young rag picker boy. He sees a young rag picker boy who visits the garbage dump near her house and searches for gold in it. The writer says that he searches for gold, ironically, because although the garbage dump is full of useless, thrown away things, still he shuffles it so minutely as if he will get something as precious as gold from it. The boy's name is Sahib. His name his home is in Dhaka. It was in the middle of lush green fields. They had left it many years ago and he goes not remember it anyone. His mother had told him that there were many storms which destroyed their homes and fields. So they left home and shifted to the cities in search of gold. The writer again says, looking for gold in the big city. Gold here refers to something precious which was not available in their hometown. Things like shoes, money, bags, etc. for the children, and food, clothing, shelter as means of survival for their parents. The boy searches for such precious things in the garbage dumps. One day the writer questions Sahib and asks him the reason for shuffling through the garbage. Why do you think this? Why do you do this? आप ये क्यों कर रहे हो? I ask साहिब. मैंने एक लड़की से कहा जिसका नाम साहिब है. Whom I encounter every day, every morning, जिसको मैं हर दिन मिलता था. Who was scrounging, who was searching for the gold in the garbage dumps, who was searching in the useless disposal dumps of my neighborhood. I Saib left his loom long ago. साहिब ने अपना घर जो है पहले बहुत वक्त पहले छोड़ा है. Set amidst the green fields of Dhaka. वो कहाँ पे बैठ गया है? In the green fields of Dhaka, his home is not even a distant memory. His not is even a distant memory. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. बहुत सारे तूफान आए जिस तूफान ने उनके घरों को तबाह कर दिया. एंड उनकी ज़मीन उनके घर सब तबाह हो गए. हिज मदर टेल्स हिम, उसकी माँ ये कहा करती है, दैट्स वाई दे लेफ्ट, दैट्स वाई इसलिए उन्होंने घर को छोड़ा है. लुकिंग फॉर गोल्ड इन द बिग सिटी वायर ही नील यूज नाउ. अब ये इस गार्बेज में कुछ जो ढूंढ रहा है जो उसके लिए सोने से ज़्यादा कीमत रखता है. तो अब वहाँ पे जहाँ पे वो रहता है उसी गार्बेज में वो देखता है. आई हैव नथिंग एल्स टू डू, ही मटर्स, looking away, go to school. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Go to school, I say, glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I will go. There is no school in the neighborhood. When they build, I will go. I start. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. If I start a school, will you come? I ask, half joking. So here are some words. Mutters means to speak in a low voice. Mutters, M-U-T-T-E-R, mutters means to speak in a low voice. Glibly means speaking or spoken in a confident way but without careful thoughts or honesty. Glibly means speaking or spoken in a confident way but without careful thought or honesty. And another word is hollow. Hollow meaning meaningless. Huh. I have nothing else to do, he mutters. Now this was the answer of Sahib. I have nothing else to do. मेरे पास काम ही नहीं है जिस काम को मैं करूं. मैं स्कूल भी नहीं जाता हूं, घर में मुझे कोई काम ही नहीं है, इसलिए दैट्स वाई आई हैव नथिंग एल्स टू डू. इसके बगैर मेरे पास कोई नाम नहीं है, कोई काम नहीं है. ही मटर्स, दैट मीन्स ही स्पीक इट, ही spoke it, looking away, he spoke it softly and he was looking away. Go to school. I say glibly. I say slippery. Glibly means slippery. मैंने उससे कहा आप स्कूल जाओ. उसने कहा that means I speak. Glibly means speaking or spoke in a confident way but without careful thoughts or honesty. मैंने ऐसे ही उसको with the slip. It was my slip when I say of school जाओ, go to school. I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. मेरी जो एडवाइस है कितनी मीनिंगलेस होगी उस पर जो मैंने उसे एडवाइस की आप स्कूल जाओ. मेरे पास कोई उसके लिए कोई थाट नहीं है, मेरे पास उसके लिए कोई प्लान नहीं था. दैट इज़ वाई आई से जिलबली. दैट मीन्स आई से स्लिपरी. देर इज़ नो स्कूल इन माई नेबरहुड. मेरे स्कूल में अब दिस इज़ आंसर ऑफ दिस बॉय, पुअर बॉय, साहिब जिसका नाम है. देर इज़ नो स्कूल इन माई नेबरहुड. मेरे नेबरहुड में कोई स्कूल नहीं है. व्हेन दे विल बिल्ड वन आई विल गो. जब वो नया बनाएंगे आई विल गो देयर. I will go there. Yes. Now, if I start school, will you come? Now the writer asks him, अगर मैं एक स्कूल बनाऊं आप वहाँ आओगे. I ask hope joking. मैं उनको उसको joking कर रहा था. Yes, he says smiling broadly. उसने बड़े अंदाज में कहा मैं आऊँगा. Now let me explain it again. Sahib replies to the writer that he has nothing else to do other than the rag picking. Other than rag picking, his only assignment which he finds this time is only rag picking. He has nothing else to do. He has no other work to do. The writer suggests that he should go to school. राइटर ने उसे कहा कि आप स्कूल जाओ. शी रियलाइजेस दैट हर एडवाइस इज मीनिंगलेस. राइटर हियर says that this advice of mine is meaningless for the poor boy. He replies that there are no schools in the area where he lives. He also assures her that he will go to school when one is built near his house. The writer asks him jokingly that if she opened a school, would he be attend it? Now the answer of Sahib is yes, he says. Yes, smiling broadly. उसने बड़े अंदाज में उसे कहा कि मैं स्कूल अटेंड करूँगा. A few days later I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? It takes longer to build a school. I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. That was not meant. But promises that was not meant, but promises like mine abound in every corner of his bleak world. इस पैरा में कुछ वर्ड्स हैं. embarrassed means feeling ashamed. Embarrassed means feeling ashamed. Abound means exist in large numbers. Bleak means empty. Bleak means empty. Now writer here says that Sahib says that he would join the writer's school. Definitely he would join the writer's school. And after a few days he runs up to her to ask her whether her school is ready. Sahib runs to her. Sahib runs to the writer and asks whether her school is ready. The writer replied that it takes a lot of time to build a school. She felt ashamed. She felt ashamed. Anis Jung felt ashamed at making a false promise with the child. She had said this as a joke and had never intended to open a school, so she felt ashamed of her. Sahib was not hurt because he was used to such false promise, because he was used to such false promise as they existed in large numbers in this empty world. ये साहब ने इस राइटर ने वही प्रॉमिस किया, वही वादा किया जो उन वादों में से एक वादा है जो इस वर्ल्ड में एम्पैटी वर्ल्ड में किए जाते हैं. वादे बेफजूल बेमाना. He was surrounded by such false promises made by everyone around him. So his world was empty, as no promise made to Sahib was ever fulfilled. Right? After months of knowing him, after months of knowing him, After months of knowing him, I ask him his name, Sahibi Alam. He announces he does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his hands and army of barefoot who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize him, recognize each of them. I have come to recognize each of them. Why aren't you wearing chapels? I ask when my mother did not bring them down from the shelf. He answers simply, even if even if she did, he will throw them off at another who is wearing. So after months of knowing him, I ask him his name. बहुत महीने हुए कि मैं इसको जानता था आया अब उस उन महीनों के बाद मैंने उससे कहा आपका नाम क्या है तो उसने कहा साहिबी आलम मेरा नाम साहिबी आलम है ही अनाउंसेस बड़े पुर मोहब्बत अंदाज में उसने अपना नाम बताया मेरा नाम है साहिबी आलम ही डज नो व्हाट इज इट्स मीनिंग ये साहिब अपना नाम जो जिसने अपना नाम बताया he announces his name that his name is Sahib Alam but he does not its meaning. If he knows its meaning, Lord of the universe, the meaning of his name that is Sahib Alam means Alam ka Lord, universe ka Lord. It is actually the meaning of this Sahib Alam means Lord of the universe. He would have a hard time believing it. उसने वो उसके लिए बहुत ही सख्त टाइम ये होता है इसको बिलीव करना कि मेरा नाम साहिब आलम है आई एम लॉर्ड ऑफ द यूनिवर्स माई नेम इज़ द मीनिंग ऑफ माई नेम इज़ लॉर्ड ऑफ इट वॉज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर हिम टू अंडरस्टैंड इट अनअवेयर ऑफ वट हिज नेम रिप्रेजेंट्स ही रूम्स द स्ट्रीट्स विद हिज फ्रेंड्स ये नहीं जानता था कि मेरी नाम का माना क्या है ही वॉज वॉन्डरिंग इन द स्ट्रीट्स विद हिज फ्रेंड्स एंड आर्मी ऑफ बेयरफुट हु appear like morning birds. ये ऐसी आर्मी थी ऐसी फौज थी जो नंगी पाँव घूमती थी और जैसे कि ऐसे अपियर हो जाते थे जैसे कि ये मॉर्निंग बर्ड्स हैं सुबह के परिंदे हैं एंड डिसअपियर एट मून और मून नून एंड डिसअपियर एट नून और दोपहर में वो घूम झो डिसअपियर हो जाते हैं और द मंथ्स आई हैव कम टू रिकॉग्नाइज ईच ऑफ देम एक मंथ लगा एक तकरीबन कुछ मंथ्स लगे तो मुझे मैंने हर एक का नाम जाना पहचाना मैं इनको अब पहचानने लगा किसका नाम क्या है नाउ व्हाई आरंट यू वियरिंग चैपल्स व्हाई आरंट यू वियरिंग चैपल्स व्हाई आरंट यू वियरिंग चैपल्स आई आस्क वन Why aren't you wearing chapels? I asked one. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf. He answered simply. So मैंने राइटर ने उससे कहा कि the writer asked one of them why she has not wearing any footwear. The boy simply replied that his mother did not get them down from the shelf as they were beyond his reach. He did not wear them. Right? एक मैंने उसे कहा कि आपने चप्पल क्यों नहीं पहनी है तो उसमें से एक लड़के ने कहा जवाब वहाँ से आया कि मेरी माँ ने वो चप्पल मेरी शलफ से नहीं उतारी क्योंकि मेरी पूंछ वहाँ तक नहीं थी मैं वहाँ तक नहीं जा सकता था छोटे कद का है तो दैट वाज हिज सिंपल आंसर नाउ इवन इफ Now, even if he did, he will throw them off, adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy, who has never owned a pair at all his life. Traveling across the current country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. Now here a writer says there are some words. कुछ words यहाँ पे हैं. एक word है यहाँ पे, that is shuffles. Shuffles means slides them over each other. Slides them over each other. Now there is another word, shuffles likha. Shuffles means slides them over each other. Another word is excuse. Excuse means a reason to justify a fault. Excuse means a reason to justify a fault. Perpetual state of poverty means never ending condition of being poor. Perpetual state of poverty means never ending condition of being poor. Let me now explain this para. Writer says another boy who was wearing a different shoes in each foot said that even if his mother would have given him the footwear, he would have thrown it away. He meant that the boy was not wearing footwear because he did not want to wear one. The writer asked the second boy the reason for wearing a different shoes in each foot. He did not reply and shuffled his feet as he tried to find the shoes. A third boy spoke that he was eager to get a pair of shoes as he had never owned one all his life. The writer takes the example of shoes to highlight the condition of these boys. They search the garbage dump looking for such precious things. She further tells that as she traveled across the country, she had seen many children walking barefoot in the cities as well as in the villages. They reasoned that they were barefoot not due to lack of money to buy footwear, but being barefoot was a tradition for them. The writer wondered and concluded that the reason of it being a tradition was a mere excuse to hide the fact that they were so poor that they could not afford footwear. थैंक यू वेरी मच. आज इतना ही. आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया.